Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. I recently had the honor of joining Scrapbook.com in one of their live streams, and in that video I shared some 2 Sheet Wonder templates. If you missed the live stream, it was on Scrapbook.com's channel, but you can always watch the replay, and I do have a link for the video in the description box below. I designed the templates to work with 6 by 8 inch paper since that's one size that Scrapbook.com offers. Here's a look at the 5 cards I made in that video. Used some beautiful floral and lace papers and added lots of beautiful butterflies. So from 2 6 by 8 sheets of pattern paper plus cardstock, I designed 5 different cards. In today's video, I'll be using the same card designs, but different pattern paper, images, and sentiments. And if you're interested in the templates and the sketches, I have all the information on my coordinating blog post. The link is in the description box below, or you can simply head over to KristieMarcotte.com. So here's a look at the 5 different card designs. The light blue cardstock represents the busy pattern, and the greenish teal represents the muted pattern. The white cardstock pieces are all A2 size, so 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches. So if you're just using the pattern paper and your card base, that's the basic look of the 5 designs. There are quite a few companies that offer their paper pads in a 6 by 8 size, including Doodlebug design. So in today's video, I'm using their Be Happy collection. This was released last year and I didn't have time to use it, so I thought with it being spring and summer right around the corner, now was the perfect time. For my busy pattern, I'm using this field of flowers with lots of sweet little bees. For my muted pattern, I have a yellow with teeny tiny black polka dots. There are so many cute designs in this paper collection, it was hard to select only 2. I haven't used any of my 2 Sheet Wonder templates on my channel, so I will show the cutting. Now, if you're not familiar with a 1 Sheet Wonder, it's designed so you use every single piece of the pattern paper and 0 waste. I've seen lots of different versions for 6 by 6 and 12 by 12 paper, but I couldn't find any for 6 by 8 paper, so I decided to make my own. I'm going one step further and doing a 2 Sheet Wonder. That way there are more pattern paper designs on the card. So the first cut I did was on the long side at 5 1/4 inch. I'll set aside that longer strip at the bottom and work on the top, so it's a bunch of narrow strips. I'm flipping it upside down, starting with the 2 1-inch strips. The next one is 1 1/4 inch. Then there's a 3/4 inch, and that'll leave a 2-inch strip left. I'll move my trimmer aside so I can lay out all the strips in the same order as the template. For that last strip, we'll just do 1 cut at 2 inches. And I'll add all the pattern paper pieces in the large stack and sort tray from Scrapbook.com. So now it's time to cut sheet 2. This is the muted pattern. And we'll start with the same cut on the long side at 5 1/4 inch. The paper trimmer I'm using is from Tonic Studios. It's their Maxi Guillotine. I have an older version. The new version basically looks the same, but instead of the orange, it's black, and I think the gray is a slightly different color. After that first cut at 5 1/4 inch, I'll set aside that long horizontal piece. Next, I'll work on the narrow strips, starting with 2 1-inch strips. Then we'll need 2 1/2-inch strips. And the leftover piece is a 3-inch strip. Now for the long horizontal piece, just 1 cut at 4 inches. I'll grab another large stack and sort tray, put those pieces inside, and I have one of the silicone inserts in each of my stack and sort trays. So there are the two 6x8 sheets of pattern paper all cut up. I'll grab the other one again. The set on the right is sheet 1, the busy pattern. The set on the left is sheet 2, the muted pattern. Next, I'll put together the 5 different card designs using the pattern paper pieces and an A2 size card base. And there's no particular order for the 5 different card designs. So for this first card, we're grabbing the 3-inch strip of the yellow and black polka dot, and then the wider field of flower strip. For the next card, we need the 2-inch strip with the flowers and bees, and then the 2 1/2-inch strips of the yellow and black polka dot. Later in the video, I'll be adding the cardstock layers, images, and sentiments. I'm just putting together the basic card designs right now. So next are 2 strips of the spring flowers, the 1 1/4 and the 3/4. If you're using a double-sided pattern paper, you could flip one over to add more design. I'll be using the same design for both of the pieces. And then that smaller rectangle is the yellow and black polka dot. This card design features 4 of the 1-inch strips. So we need 2 of the flower and 2 of the yellow black polka dot. And you can do them in any order. You can have the busier first or the muted pattern first. The final card design is horizontal. Those first 4 are vertical. And there's only 2 pattern paper pieces left. A few other products I'll be using for the cards: Doodlebug Designs Be Happy, All the Things Ephemera Pack, and Jaded Blossoms Be Kind stamps and coordinating outline dies. And if you are interested in any of the products I use in this video, I will have them linked in the description box below. For the background of my card, you can use cardstock. For this set, I decided to use Doodlebug Designs Petite print. This is their Pistachio Plaid color. I've gone ahead and prepped all the pieces for the 5 different cards, and I have each card design in a separate craft stack tray from Spellbinders. I'll layer the pattern paper pieces on black cardstock. And for most of the cardstock layers, I'm adding an additional 1/8 of an inch. But if you're interested in the exact measurements of the cardstock layers, I have them all listed on my coordinating blog post. But I'll also go over those measurements in the video. The cardstock layer for the spring floral piece is 4 inches by 2 7/8 of an inch. And the layer for the yellow and black polka dot is 3 1/8 of an inch by 5 1/4 of an inch. The plaid paper I'm using for the background is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. I'll add the yellow and black polka dot panel down first. I'm not adding it in the center. Instead, I'm putting it closer to the left side of the card, about 3/8 of an inch from that left outside edge. Then I'll layer the background on more black cardstock, and that cardstock piece is 4 1/8 of an inch by 5 3/8 of an inch. Then I'll put adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. After cutting out all the backgrounds from the plaid petite print pattern paper, I did end up with some narrow strips left over. And I'll add those on the inside of the card just for a little extra detail. Before adhering the floral panel down, I'll first put a scrap piece of cardstock on the right and left side, just in the areas where it goes off of the yellow-black plaid pattern paper. So on the right side, the strip will be a little bit wider. The left side, I'll add a narrow strip. After adhering those down, I'll put adhesive on the back and add this panel about 1 inch up from the bottom of the pattern paper. So there's the basic design of this sketch, including the cardstock layers. And I think those cardstock layers really add a lot of contrast. Now with that beautiful floral design, I don't want to cover it up completely, but I am adding some of the image ephemera pieces. So instead of using a white cardstock circle, I cut one out of vellum. And this circle is 3.5 inches in diameter. I'll lay the circle on the card, but I'm not adhering it down yet. First, I'll add the 2 ephemera pieces. So I have the happy sunshine with a cloud and then a little bee. And I did pop up both of the images using some 1mm foam from scrapbook.com. So once I have the 2 ephemera images down, I'll flip over the circle, put glue on the back, making sure to only put it behind the ephemera pieces. Then I'll add the circle on the center of the card. For a sentiment, I've already stamped and cut this out. Happy Bee Day. And this is from the Jaded Blossom Be Kind set I showed earlier. I'll put glue on the back and adhere the sentiment underneath the cloud and on the right side. For embellishments, I'm using Love from Lizzie peel-offs. This is the mini circle style in black. I'll put 3 in the upper left-hand corner and 2 underneath the sentiment on the right side. So there is my finished card, and since I can never stop at 1, I ended up making 2 of this design. Doodlebug's bee images are so cute. Now moving on to the second card design. I grabbed another craft stack tray. I'll set aside the images and sentiments for now and start by layering the pattern paper pieces on black cardstock. So on this card, there's the 1 strip with the spring florals and then the 2 1/2-inch strips of the yellow and black polka dot. We're adding all 3 of those on 1 black cardstock layer. And that piece is 3 1/4 of an inch by 5 1/4 of an inch. I put the spring floral piece down first, putting it right in the center. And then I'll add each of the 1/2-inch strips on the right and left side. So you will see a little bit of the black cardstock between each of the pattern paper pieces. Next, I'll add this piece on the plaid background. And that piece is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. I'll put more adhesive on the back and layer this piece on black cardstock. And the black cardstock layer is 4 1/8 of an inch by 5 3/8 of an inch. Put more adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. If you don't like the look of the white border from the card base, I would suggest cutting the black cardstock piece to a full A2 size. Next, I'll add that scrap plaid piece on the inside of the card. For this card, I'm adding a 3-inch circle and I used white cardstock. I'll put glue on the back, adhere it on the card, and I'm not centering it. Instead, it's more on the right side, about 1/4 of an inch from that right edge. The ephemera image I selected is a sweet little bee sleeping in a hammock. I did pop up the 3 ephemera pieces with more 1mm foam. I'm also adding 2 hearts, 1 teal, 1 yellow. I'll add the 2 hearts above the bee on the right side. And the sentiment, be happy. Before adhering the sentiment down, I did put a scrap piece of cardstock on the left side, just in the area where it goes off of the circle die cut. Now I'll put glue on the back and adhere the sentiment above the flower on the left. For embellishments, I'm using more of the mini circle peel-offs in black. I'll put 3 of the medium-sized circles in the upper left-hand corner and 2 small circles in the lower right-hand corner. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. The colors in this collection are so fun, bright, and cheerful. Now moving on to the next card design. So I'll grab another craft stack tray. This design features 2 of the spring floral strips and then a small rectangle of the yellow and black polka dot paper. I'll start off by layering the yellow paper first. The black cardstock layer for this piece is 2 1/8 of an inch by 2 7/8 of an inch. The 2 floral pieces will go on 1 black cardstock piece, and that piece is 2 1/4 of an inch by 5 1/4 of an inch. I'm adding the wider piece, the 1 1/4 of an inch piece on the left side, and then the 3/4 inch strip on the right side. And once those two are adhered, you'll see some of the black cardstock between each of them. Now I'll put adhesive on the back, add this piece on the plaid background about 1/2 inch from the left side of the card. And the plaid piece is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. I noticed a little bit of that pattern paper and cardstock going off the edge of the plaid paper. I'll flip over this panel and with a pair of scissors, trim off the overhang. Now I'll put adhesive on the back, layer this piece on black cardstock, and the black cardstock layer is 4 1/8 of an inch by 5 3/8 of an inch. Put more ATG tape on the back and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. I'll also add that scrap piece of the plaid paper on the inside of the card. The black cardstock layer I have for the yellow piece, one side looked a little bit wider, so I did use my trimmer to cut off just a sliver of it. Now before I adhere that piece down, I'll put a scrap piece on the right side. Put adhesive on the back, adhere it in place about 3/8 of an inch from the right side of the card. And about 1 1/4 of an inch down from the top of the card. In the upper right hand corner, I will be adding a small banner. The cardstock piece is 5/8 of an inch by 7/8 of an inch. With a pair of scissors, I'll cut a fishtail on the bottom. Then I'll put glue on the back and adhere it in the upper right hand corner. The ephemera image I selected is a bee wearing a flower, super cute. And the sentiment buzz is also from the ephemera pack. I did pop up both of them using more of the 1mm foam. I'll remove the release paper. I'll add the bee at the bottom of the polka dot panel. Then I'll add the sentiment above the bee on the right side. For embellishment, using more of the mini circle peel-offs in black, I'll put 3 of the medium-sized circles in the upper left-hand corner and 2 small circles underneath the yellow polka dot panel on the right side. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. This is another fun design with a cute little bee image. I don't think I've ever used a Doodlebug collection I didn't enjoy. So now moving on to the 4th card design, I'll grab the next craft stack tray. This card features the 4 1-inch strips. I'll be layering all 4 strips on the plaid paper, and you'll only see a tiny bit of that showing. Now this is the only card where that plaid paper is a different size. It's 4 1/8 of an inch by 5 3/8 of an inch. And I'll start by adding the flower paper down first, although you can do it either way. Next, I'll add the yellow and black polka dot paper. When adding each of the 1-inch strips, I'm making sure the top and bottom edge are lined up. There won't be any gaps between them. So you'll only see the plaid paper around those 4 strips. After the yellow black polka dot, I'll put another spring floral, then finish it off with the last yellow polka dot. And I had a little extra border on the very right side, so I did use my trimmer to get that nice even edge. For a little extra detail and to bring in more of the plaid paper, I'm adding a strip across the card. This piece is 4 inches by 3/4 of an inch. And I'm adding it about 1 inch up from the bottom. Now I'll layer this piece on black cardstock, and the cardstock layer is A2 size, 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches. I'll put more adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base. This is the only card I'm making where you won't see any of the white card base showing. I'll add that scrap piece of the plaid paper on the inside. The white circle I'm adding is 3 inches. I'll put glue on the back, adhere the circle down, about 1/4 of an inch from the right side and 3/4 of an inch up from the bottom edge. This card will also feature a banner from black cardstock, and the cardstock piece is 5/8 of an inch by 7/8 of an inch. It's my favorite size when adding banners. I'll cut a fishtail on the bottom, put glue on the back, and adhere the banner in the upper left-hand corner. The ephemera image I'm adding on this card is a sweet little bee scooping out some honey from the honeycomb. I did pop it up using more of the 1mm foam. The sentiment I'm adding is bzz, and this is from the Jaded Blossom Be Kind set. I will put that scrap piece of cardstock on the left side, just in the area where it goes off of the circle die cut. Then I'll put glue on the back and adhere it on the left side of the ephemera image. And before that glue dries completely, I'll make sure the sentiment's on nice and straight. For embellishments, I'm using more Love from Lizzie peel-offs, but this time I selected the gold holographic color. This is the mini circle style. I'll put 2 in the upper left-hand corner on the banner and 3 in the lower right-hand corner. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. I switched to the gold holographic peel-offs since I was planning on adding them on the banner and I wanted them to stand out. So now moving on to my final card design, grab my last craft stack tray. This is the only horizontal card from the 5 different card designs. I'll start off by layering the 2 pattern paper pieces on black cardstock. For the spring flower piece, that cardstock layer is 2 1/8 of an inch by 2 7/8 of an inch. And for the yellow black polka dot piece, that cardstock layer is 4 1/8 of an inch by 2 7/8 of an inch. I didn't get it lined up right away, but luckily I was able to remove it. I'll try again, and now I have that nice even border all around the yellow polka dot paper. I'll put adhesive on the back of this piece and add it on the plaid background. And that background piece is 5 1/4 of an inch by 4 inches. I'll layer it on black cardstock, and the cardstock layer is 5 3/8 of an inch by 4 1/8 of an inch. Put more adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. The spring floral piece will go on the left side, and about 1/4 of an inch of it will hang off the bottom of the polka dot paper. So in that area, I will add a scrap piece of cardstock. Once I have that scrap piece adhered down, I'll put adhesive on the back, and I'm adding this panel about 1/2 inch from the left edge of the yellow and black polka dot paper. With that beautiful floral paper, again, I don't want to cover it up, so I'm not adding a white circle. Instead, I cut out a vellum circle, and the size is 2.5 inches in diameter. The ephemera image is a cute little bee coming out of the flower with pollen all over its head. It's so cute. I did pop up the bee with the 1mm foam. I'll adhere the bee on the vellum circle first, then I'll flip it over, put glue on the back, only behind the area where the ephemera image is. This card will also feature a banner from black cardstock, and that cardstock piece is 5/8 of an inch by 7/8 of an inch. I'll cut a fishtail on the bottom, put glue on the back, and adhere it in the upper right-hand corner of the yellow polka dot paper. And when adhering it down, I am putting it just a little bit higher than that black cardstock layer for the yellow polka dot pattern paper. For embellishments, using more of the mini circle peel-offs in black, I'll put 2 in the upper left-hand corner and 1 on the right side of the bee. For this card, I decided not to add a sentiment on the outside. Later on, when I know who the card recipient will be, I'll put a sentiment on the inside. So here's another look at the 5 different sketch designs using my 2 Sheet Wonder templates. The templates are designed for 6 by 8 inch pattern paper. You'll use up every scrap of the pattern paper, so 0 waste. The designs are simple and you can modify them however you want, and they're great for cards throughout the year. If you're interested in any of the products I used in this video, I do have links in the description box below. And if you want my 2 Sheet Wonder templates, I have them on my coordinating blog post, and that link is listed below as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.